We don't have a gun culture in America. We have gun cultures, plural. There's the disciplined gun culture of competition shooters. There's the pragmatic culture of rural people who use guns as tools for controlling pests and predators. And there's the gun culture of mindful professionalism that they taught me when I was in the Army. There's a specifically black gun culture tied up with liberation ideology inspired by the Black Panthers. There's even a gun culture that's kind of feminist in a Dolly Parton sort of way, like my dad's sister, who even in her 60s is still carrying a tiny pistol in her purse. Here's the thing. No one at these types of demonstrations is talking about those gun cultures. No one is particularly opposed to those gun cultures. Those cultures are not majorly harmful or threatening in 2022. Gun control pushes in America are almost entirely in response to two specific other gun cultures. One is the gun culture of the disaffected young white male creeper. The kids who abuse that right to bear arms, using it as an excuse to feel some sort of power or importance that they feel entitled to but don't think they're getting. This is the gun culture of school shooters, otakus, incels, and the Kyle Rittenhouses. This is the Beta Uprising and the Pulse nightclub shooting, and the young man who shot up a supermarket in a black neighborhood in my city. The other gun culture in America that we seem to always be talking about whenever we have to talk about the gun problem is the gun culture of old white disaffected men. Sovereign citizens and Eamon Bundys and Ted Kaczynskis and militia groups out in Michigan. Anti-government QAnon January 6ers, the Unabomber, and the NRA. I think those gun cultures are particularly horrifying to us because they're so arbitrary and unexplainable. It feels like just anyone can become a victim of those cultures' violence while they're just out existing in the world, going to school or being at work or going to a concert or just shopping at the grocery store. So everyone feels threatened by those gun cultures. People of these cultures are just trying to vandalize a society that doesn't want them or they can't find a place for themselves in. Those are gun cultures that are trying to hurt categories of people, not individuals. Now, don't get me wrong. There are other deadly gun cultures that we don't talk about, even though we really should be. I'm thinking of the urban gun culture of gang violence, and for the lack of a better term, honor killings. Interpersonal gun violence, where just some guy has a beef with some other guy. And then there's the intimidation culture of domestic abusers. And the gun culture of the wannabe hero, the neighborhood watch George Zimmerman type lying awake at night dreaming of his own home getting invaded so he can finally reclaim his man card. Those cultures are just as poisonous, just as unsafe, but they don't inspire the same sort of reaction that you're seeing here. That shouldn't surprise you, though. For one thing, I'm now talking about the gun cultures that target mostly women and people of color, and sometimes Americans forget that those people are also Americans. But interpersonal gang and domestic violence is also the kind of violence where the shooter and the victims almost certainly know each other. And for whatever reason, that feels different to a lot of Americans. That feels like a failure of culture, not a failure of civic government. But I think the gun cultures of those disaffected white men, be they young or old, who are taking up a gun for a power trip is always going to draw this kind of reaction.